difficult is it to get a reference letter these days? We know. We hear it all the time from nannies that they have a good reference and we're welcome to call them, but they don't have a reference letter. But I can tell you that reference letters go a long way in the nanny world. And so having a portfolio with references in them is really important to being a professional nanny. So how can you get them when families aren't providing them? I want to give you a few tips today to help you do that. Okay, tip number 1. When you realize you're no longer going to be working for this family, whether you quit or their kids are going off to school or they no longer need you, can't afford you, whatever the reason, that's your first opportunity to ask for a reference. So just ask them if they'd mind providing a reference letter for you, a written reference that can help, that will help you then find another job. So of course, if they say yes, you say thank you and you wait a bit. So I wouldn't wait more than a week or 10 days before going back to them. So if they provide the letter, fantastic, you're one of the lucky ones. If they don't provide the letter, you have to follow up. So you follow up in a week or 10 days and just say, just a reminder, I was just wondering if you had a chance to do that. I know you're really busy. And if they say, oh yes, I'll get to it, you can then take the opportunity to say, would it help you if I wrote something out for you? Of course, you can change it or edit it, and then it will make it easier. And if they say yes, great, you can do that. So how you do that is you start by writing, it's not easy, by the way. It's going to be very difficult, but if it gets you a reference and it gets you a reference quicker, this is the way to do it. So start by putting the dates you worked, then put the ages of the children when you started, and some details about what you did in the job, whether it was getting the kids ready for school or taking them on play dates, taking them to the park, whatever it is that you did in your position, outline that in that first paragraph. And then in the second paragraph, give some love, shall we say, about how much they liked you. You know, they couldn't live without you, that they really appreciated you, that you were there 2 years, whatever you want to put in there. There's lots of examples of reference letters online, so go ahead and just Google sample nanny reference letter and it will give you some ideas. It can be a bit uncomfortable when you're writing your own reference letter to give it to them, but of course you write it and then when you email it to them, you say, here's an outline of a reference letter, feel free to change anything. So they can edit and change, but you know what? 90% of the time they're just going to sign it and send it back to you and tell you they can use it. So that's been our experience with that. Then the last thing you can do is maybe even just do a sheet with a few questions, which is what Nannies on Call does when we call for references. So we ask the same questions every time. How old were the children? What dates did she work with you? What were her responsibilities? And then they just fill that in. So that's another option for getting a reference. You could create a standard form with just some questions that they fill in, sign, leave their phone number and email address, and that you can use moving forward for a reference. But we understand how difficult it is, but it's really important to get them. And the last thing I would say is try not to leave that position without getting the reference letter. Consider it part of your final pay, your ROE, your T4, whatever it is. Consider it part of that going away package that you need that letter so that you don't move on. Because the other thing is, if families are moving, getting in touch with those families again sometimes in the future can be very difficult, and nannies end up with great past experience and great jobs that can't be verified. And it's very important to be able to verify with these families what you did for them and that, of course, you were a great nanny. And if you have any other ideas or things that have worked for you, we'd love to hear from you. So comment down below. Also subscribe to our channel so that we can, so you can get notifications every week when our new videos come out. But other than that, we hope you can get your references, and we do understand that it's very difficult, but it's worth the effort. Have a great week.